Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the roll, please.
Calhoun. Here. Dempsey. Here. Fournier. Here. Crop.
Here.
Missouri. Here. Rick.
Here.
Yor. Here.
Item 4, announcements, acknowledgments, communications, and reports. And I don't see anything listed. Does anyone have any announcements they'd like to include? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to adoption of the agenda.
Move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Support.
Anybody have any questions or comments about the agenda? Call the roll, please.
Calhoun.
Yes.
Dempsey. Yes. Fournier. Yes. Crop.
Yes.
McGarity.
Yes.
Rick.
Yes.
Yor.
Yes.
Okay, this is the first opportunity of the evening to address the commission for the public. All that we ask is that you come to the microphone, give us your your full name, your residential address, and you abide by our 3-minute rule. Whoever would like to begin, come on up to the microphone.
Hi there, Fred Huber, 158 South Main Street. 2 issues to address. I don't think I'll get to both of them right now, so I might have to come back at the end for the other 2 minutes. Excuse I just literally was cutting wood, and I was on a lift, so you have to accept the way I look right now. The first issue is we just resolved a dumping complaint that had to go through the court system, district court. And I just want you to be aware of how that experience occurred. We have people, sadly, who choose to dump because it's cheaper to dump than to just comply with the law. A dumpster costs $500. The maximum fine that you can receive under state law is $500, so why not? And that's how some of our business folks choose to operate, unfortunately. And that's what happened to us, and it took a long, drawn-out fight. I had to go to court a ridiculous number of times to make sure that his prosecution went all the way through. It's a complete waste of my time and organization's time. And for anybody that goes through this, it cost us money. We had older children in foster care that were there present the day that it occurred. And you're not going to tell teenagers what to do. And they were upset about it, so couldn't tell them not to clean it up. So they were swinging sledgehammers and breaking up all this junk that this person left in our lot, breaking it down into the dumpster, and then we had to cover the cost of that dumpster. The court refused to give us or make the gentleman pay for the full cost of the new dumpster, so we had to take that on. Even though he was caught, he still was not required to even pay the full cost of the dumpster. It's just ridiculous. So I'll use an example. Before I started my police career, when I first started in security at Mount Clemens General Hospital, predates McLaren. I worked the midnight shift. They rolled down 55-gallon buckets or barrels of chemicals, formaldehyde and various other things from the lab and other places at the hospital and dumped it straight into the Clinton River because they knew that it was cheaper to do that and pay the fine if someone turned you in and you got caught. Same thing happened with their incinerator. They just burned everything under the sun, including body parts, even though they had Department of Environmental Quality saying they could only burn cardboard and paper. Because even if they got caught and fined, it didn't matter. It was cheaper to just violate the law. And that needs to change. And I've been told that we need to involve state reps and senators in this process of changing the law to make it so that the penalty exceeds the cost of the violation. I would like to see us do that. We cannot be the only people experiencing this. We've now had roughly 24 dumping incidents on our property. I know part of the problem we're experiencing is who previously operated the building. So there's an attraction to think that you can just dump your entire household garbage. The gentleman in question was dumping business garbage. That was uniquely different. But a significant amount of our time goes to cleaning up our property from people who dump on our property. And I'd like to see that addressed. But that issue is why it happens, because it's cheaper to simply violate the law. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission at this time? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to administrative responses, which there aren't any listed. We didn't have any. We will move on to approval of the minutes.
Move to approve the minutes as presented.
Support.
Questions or comments about the minutes? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Fournier. Yes. Crop.
Yes.
McGarity.
Yes.
Rick.
Yes.
Yord.
Yes.
Calhoun.
Yes.
Okay, moving to general business. 9A, acceptance of the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024 financial audit. Entertain a motion.
Move to accept the city's financial report and governance letter for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024 as presented. Support.
Mr. Shipman.
The City Commission is requested to review and accept the fiscal year ending June 30, 2024 governance letter and the city's annual financial report. The independent financial audit was performed by Maynard Costerasan. Following are some of the more noteworthy items related to the year-end financials and audit report. Following notes are specifically related to how the city performed on a fund basis. Maynard Costerasan issued an unmodified report which states all funds have been reviewed and accurately present the financial position of each of the funds and the city as a whole. The general fund on revenue of $14,753,581 and expenditures of $12,772,765. The city ended the year with an increase in fund balance of $1,980,816. $762,860 of the increase in the fund balance was due to the closing of the motor pool fund as of June 30th, 2024. Going forward, the motor pool activity will be reported in the general fund. Both the water and sewer fund showed improvement in operating performance. The water fund improved its net position by $1,861,188 and the sewer fund by $2,427,604. These increases are due to increases in utility rates to fund the imperative capital projects over the next several years. The city's net future liability and other post-employment benefits has decreased from $51.7 million to $28.2 million since its inception in 2017. This is due to the city's commitment to increasing its funding of resources into the trust and strategically investing to improve financial results. Equally important is the continued performance of the self-funded health insurance program. To date, this has reduced annual health care expenditures in excess of over $500,000 per year since 2017. If the trend continues, the city's multi-year commitment to pre-funding the liability may be reduced by several years. The pension system shows an increase in plan assets of $4,985,462. This was the result of the upturn in investment markets during the past year. In conclusion, the city continues to see financial gains and growing stability in almost all of its funds on an operational basis. The city continues to improve its financial position, which should help with the wide variety of programs and projects needed during the 2025-26 budget year and beyond. So with us tonight is Jordan Smith, the principal with Maynard Costerasan, and he's got a presentation up on the screen and a handout for you to follow along with. And also with us tonight is Brian Kemmler from Plant Moran. And when we get done with the presentation by Jordan, if you have any questions between the two of them, there's nothing that they can't answer. That I will guarantee you. So.
Oh, you stumped the auditor.
Thank you, Jordan Smith. Thanks for having me. You can ask questions at the end or interrupt me in the middle. Not a big deal. If it's top of your mind, I'm more than happy to answer any questions at any time. Before I begin really too much, I really need to thank Brian and the Plant Moran team, and then also Greg, Marianne, and the team here at the city. They allow us to do our job. And without them providing the information we need to do the audit, we couldn't do our audit. So we really, really appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Greg mentioned all the numbers already. So I'm going to focus on graphs and some year-to-year analysis here. Maybe.
Why we have the handout.
All right. I apologize about that. Oh, there's one. All right. Independent Auditors Report. It is the same as the handout, so no worries there. This is pages 1 through 3. Really, this is the purpose of the audit. To obtain an opinion on your financial statements and reliability on the information. There's multiple opinions that can be given, but the city receives an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion, the best possible opinion you can get in accordance with GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. Our job as auditors, I'm sure you're aware of, is not to detect fraud. It's not to give an opinion on internal controls. If we note anything, we'd bring it to your attention. Thankfully, this year we did not note any internal control issues or anything that related. Last year we had 2. This year's none, so that's just positive year over year. Page 15, 16. This is really in the actual bound financial statements. I'm going to go over the graphs a little bit more. I'm going to focus on the general fund, but in the actual financial statements themselves, this is where you find it. First one is a bar graph. This is general fund revenues, expenditure, and fund balance over the past 5 years. Really, you can see the flow there. General fund revenues in 2024 decreased by 0.4% from the prior year. From an auditor standpoint, that's basically flat year over year, less than 1% change in revenues. Expenditures, on the other hand, decreased about 6%. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But expenditures were a little over $12.7 million. And in the end, you added in fiscal year 24 about $1.9 million, as Greg already mentioned, during the fiscal year. This is another graph here. This is one I really like, seeing this trend. So fund balance as a percentage of expenditures and other financing uses, a line graph. What this really shows is your fund balance, your reserve, so to speak, over the expenditures. So if you were to expend exactly the same rate in the next year, you could operate for approximately 89% of the year without taking another dime. That's assuming there are not always the same change. So it's assuming all the same expenditures, everything, you could operate at roughly 89% of the year. But you can see that increase there, which is a positive trend year over year. General fund revenues and other financing sources. Sale of capital assets or transfers in. Usually other funds are reimbursing the general fund for different costs the general fund fronted. And you can see 23 and 24 here in that difference. Largely those percentages, the change there. In fiscal year 23, the city recognized ARPA dollars of a little over $1.6 million. And that really made all the adjustments in between the percentages year over year. The other part, investment earnings increased about $308,000. So investments did much, much better in 23 or in 24 compared to 23, and 23 is up over 22. So that's a positive leaning there on return on investment. Expenditures, similar graph here. General government was up about 4%, 29% in 24 versus 25 in 23. This is largely due to OPEB contributions that the city made that were increased in 24 compared to 23. Economic development was also up as a percentage of expenditures during the year. HVAC replacement, community center, digitalization project, engineering plan reviews for the Alro Steel plant site, different items like that. Capital outlay, on the other hand, was down. There was the community center steps and Cherry Street project, mall project during the year, but overall capital projects were down. And then transfer outs were down. The general fund didn't supplement other funds in the 24 as it did in 23 when it supplemented a lot of other funds. I'm going to talk a little bit about your water, sewer, and your marina. These are your proprietary funds. So this is a lot more like a for-profit or nonprofit. Includes your debt, capital assets, more long-term things. As I just spoke on your general fund, which is more of a current economic, does not include that long-term items. Sewage disposal system, fund net position. So the blue bar is the amount that has been paid, your net investment in capital assets. So your why am I saying this wrong? Net book value of capital assets less any debt related to those capital assets is your net investment in capital assets. So sewer disposal system, the sewer lines running through the city, a rough accounting value is a little under $29 million. The unrestricted net position, which is available to be spent, or current resources pretty much to be spent, is about $1.279 million. While it is down over the prior year, it still overall is this trend going upwards compared to 2020 when you were in a deficit. So that's a positive area.
It went down this year because,
It went down this year. So overall, it went down. It's not that it went down. There's a lot more spent on capital projects. So yes, your operating available, your unrestricted net position actually decreased year over year, but that's because more was spent on sewer lines and different things like that, which get capitalized and so do not hit. Next one, the red bar is your water supply system. Net position, same idea here. Net investment in capital assets, about just under 14.2 at June 30, 2024. Unrestricted net position is a negative 2.7 million. Overall, revenue is up about 475,000. Customer billings and consumption increases, which cause that revenue to go up. You also got a capital contribution, which then gets capitalized. That's the drinking water asset management grant. Also, investment earnings were up about $123,000. On the flip side, expenditures were down about $944,000. But again, you're adding stuff to your capital assets, which changes things, but people need the lines to use the resources, infrastructure. Upcoming accounting pronouncements. Most of this should affect financial reporting, not the day-to-day operations of the city. Really, I just want to bring them to your attention in case you see the changes in the future. Compensated absences, it's tweaking the way compensated absence liability is recorded, root certification, things like that.
did we record that already?
It is recorded already, and liability, but it's tweaking the way they do it. So right now, what I always tell clients, if you were to close your doors at June 30, how much would you owe? Obviously, you didn't close your doors for 5.5 months later, but what would you owe? Going forward, it's more going to be, what are you expected to pay out? So, I'm using this as an example, but employees, for whatever reason, you pay them vacation if they were to resign for any reason, retire, whatever it might be, but you don't pay them sick time. Going forward, if you expect them to pay sick, now that has to be included in the liability. Just an easy example. Okay. The other ones there, just going to change some things. Most of them are just disclosures, things like that. Financial reporting model is fiscal year 26, so 2 years from now, roughly. That will make a few more changes, but I don't think it'll be anything significant. And it should not affect the way the city operates, just the way it gets reported at year end. Any questions?
So can we go back to that water?
Yeah.
Supply system, so we have a negative in our unrestricted.
You do have a negative.
So, I thought the I gotta find it now. What does that mean?
So your net position is the accumulation of revenues over expenses over the life of the sewer system. So the easiest way to do that, or to describe it, really is your net pension liability, your net OPEB liability. You have those on your books now. Because you have those on the books, they're not part of your infrastructure, right? They're not part of your assets, water plant. That is causing that to go into a negative. So you have assets and stuff like that, but you don't have that cash reserve set aside in that fund, which you're not supposed to. It's supposed to be in a trust, so don't get me wrong there, which is causing that deficit. From what I've been told by Treasury, they basically don't want to see a fund have a revenues over expenses for 3 consecutive years, which it's not. This year it actually increased, even though it went down because of amounts capitalized. And then the unrestricted portion went down because of amounts capitalized. And then they don't want to see that over 3 years. They also have a test that you have to do, and if that test is negative, is what I'm going to call it, then you have to report that to Treasury. It did not come out negative, so it did not have to be reported there.
So the OPEB liability and the pension fund liability, which we really don't have a big pension fund liability, right? We're pretty close.
In the water fund,
But in the water fund.
at June 30, 2024, so I mean,
Okay.
the pension liability allocated to the water fund was $231,000. The net OPEB liability allocated to the water fund was 3.8 million.
Whoa, okay. So of that 51, oh no, we're at 28 right now. Our OPEB liability is down to,
Yeah,
28.
28 change.
so of that 28 million that we still have, 3.8 is in the water fund and causing it to go upside down.
Of the OPEB.
Got it.
Yes, of the 28.2 million at June 30, 3.8 is water. Allocated water.
Commissioner Rick, did you have a question?
I did, although I'm not sure who it's for. So on page 58, for the code enforcement financial information, the law requires the collection of these fees be used only for the construction code costs, including all the stuff related to this. How are we steadily building a greater debt there if the costs are supposed to be enough to cover the costs of it?
I had the same question.
That's a good sign. I'm reassured.
That worked.
So I can only say so much. I don't know how to say so much. There's only so much I know. Back in 2000, 2001, give or take, there was a law passed, Michigan Pile Law something. And so basically that is related to code enforcement. If it's a negative, basically that's recorded in the general fund. And so the general fund is supplementing those differences there. You could also, there are other options if it is the cumulative is not a profit, positive. Let's just call it positive. If the cumulative is a positive, then Treasury says for the Uniform Chart of Accounts, it actually has to be reported in a separate fund. Because it's a shortfall, it can be reported as a general fund, and that's basically what the general fund has supplemented it since, I'm going to call it the beginning of time.
Was this here last year?
It was,
Yes.
or something similar. You can see the shortfall at June 30, 23 was a little over 1 million, and the shortfall
That
at
was
June 30,
cumulative though, right?
24 was
Yeah.
1.5.
So basically our permit revenue of 513,000, but it costs us more to administer those permits
Yes.
than we get. Almost double.
Is that normal? Because it sounds like the law is written where you can't charge more than it costs to administer it, but I think we could at least get closer to what it costs to administer it than we are now.
Correct.
I'll give you a little history lesson.
I love history.
Well, back in the late 90s, there was a big construction boom. And so northern Macomb County, western Oakland County, all of these new neighborhoods are going up, and the builders were getting really upset. And they had a good argument. The argument was, you're charging us too much for the building permits, we're subsidizing your police and your fire and whatever else. And so the law that was put in said, you can't do that anymore, but we can't change the way that you're billing your customers. So that disclosure that's in there, if it was a positive number, we'd be restricting fund balance, and we can't spend that amount on police, fire, etc. But the older communities, inner ring suburban areas, of course you're not building neighborhood after neighborhood after neighborhood. So it does make sense that you are spending more to administer the building department and its activities than, say, South Lyon in the early 2000s, that their population doubled. So in those communities, the ones that developed significantly in the last 20 years, they'll have a positive number. But the closer you are to Detroit, the less likely you are to have run a surplus since 2000 on the building permits.
So basically, all the operating expenses and everything are what is exceeding how much we're bringing in for the permits. And the permits are capped based on the costs of issuing those permits, not necessarily for the operating expenses of that department.
Yeah, you can raise permits if you think that is a good idea. You have to consider what your neighbors are doing, the neighboring communities, you'd rather someone build here than build there, because most communities aren't making money or off of their permits.
Yeah, and with our community being basically stuck with infill at this point, there's not a whole lot. But I just want to make sure I understood better.
Well, and a lot of the building activity is more of a public safety issue. So it is not necessarily going to drive revenue. So I'm not alarmed at all. There's no concern there. Fees for services should be looked at every year, and we're doing that now. But you might have based on some of the developments that are going on in the city, though, there could be a year where you make money in that given year. And so that disclosure is going to show, and that if that happens, that cumulative deficit since 2000, maybe that goes down a couple $100,000 next year with a lot of building activity. But I wouldn't expect it to ever go positive again unless this entire city had a facelift with new construction.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
I do. I have another, on note 10 on joint ventures, maybe this is more for Greg, in case you were.
One of us will answer it. Go ahead. Sorry.
But I don't remember this, and I apologize. This has probably been talked about, but the Grosse Pointe Clinton Refuse Disposal Authority, we backed out of this.
What was that? There's an incinerator down on 15 Mile Road, right?
So I'm not, my understanding, because there are other communities that are part of it, Brian might be able to clarify this. My understanding is at some point the city decided they didn't want to be part of that joint venture anymore. I don't know when, I can tell you it was prior to 2023 when I took over as the auditor. They decided, however, due to the agreement, there was roughly $30,000 that should have been paid to the city, and they held on to that for one reason or another. So that's basically been carried on the books ever since.
So this has been going on for
So
many years.
It's 2014.
Wow.
Yeah, it says during the 14-15
So-
fiscal year. So
Why don't they give us our $30,000? Hey, it's your question.
They might say it's been beyond 6 years, so that could be an issue.
Oh, that would.
Never asked for it back.
Could you look at this?
This is the first I've heard of the issue.
Barb.
So,
Are they still even in existence? I think they're gone.
I have not heard anything about them in so
it was
many years.
Clinton, Clemens. Who else? It was just an authority,
almost
but
seems
I
like a
think that was
write-off then.
disbanded once the incinerator closed.
I believe there's financial statements that are still completed annually. So, I don't know, I apologize about the history, but that's calculated based on percentage or whatever of those financial statements, things like that. It just hasn't changed much, if at all.
I have no idea why it would still be on there.
And you'd have to
You're
write
not
it
going
off.
to get it. Let's put
Right.
it that way. So I
It
don't
may not
know.
be cash. It
Pardon?
may be whatever assets the authority owned at the time. Even if they shut down operations, you own whatever the percentage was of that existing authority. So it may not have any liquid assets for them
Ah.
to pay you.
No.
But as long as the authority still exists, even if it's not doing anything, it's still going to have financial statements. It's still going to get audited every year, and you're still going to have to report the fact that you own this little slice of it. For $30,000 though, I'm guessing it's probably below your materiality. And if we just want to write off $30,000 of money we're never going to get, we can do that in this fiscal year. And just go over it.
I think it would be
Seems-
prudent to at least just
Look
check
into
and
it.
see if they still exist and
Yeah.
everything, but
it'll save another few minutes at the next commission meeting when we all forget what that was.
I'm going to save it.
Right.
if we can't get it, let's try.
Mhm.
But if it's a
We should just
tiny
look into
fraction
it.
of an
Yeah,
incinerator,
understand it.
you probably don't need that.
A shuttered
I think
incinerator.
That land is
Yes.
sold too. That was Clinton Township's land. So I think that's over by Colchester.
Is it in the
Was it
packet?
down on 15 miles?
Okay.
Quinn
yes.
Road?
Oh, Quinn Road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, down by Quinn Road. I think that's all gone.
That smell.
Oh, yeah.
I think those points were involved in the
Yeah,
authority.
it says, yeah, woods and
I don't
farms.
think it exists anymore, but.
All right.
Okay, one more question.
Okay, go ahead.
Then I'll-
Yep,
I'll
no,
quit.
please, go ahead.
Under note 14, we're talking in a subsequent event, the sale of the ice arena, which, yay. But it says the proceeds from the sale will be utilized to defease the remaining balance of the outstanding 2021 bonds associated with the ice arena capital projects. So it's my understanding we can't pay those off because for a certain number of years, and we're actually going to use the money for other capital projects. So is that correct?
So my understanding of what's going on there is that money was obtained, and really it was available for anything the city wanted, but the city designated that for ice arena maintenance, improvements, whatever, back in 2021. Because of the way the debt is worded, or something, my understanding is that that debt can then be moved to whatever the city wants. Essentially, the city has the debt either way. So then the proceeds from the ice arena fall into your general fund, and that then can be used for whatever. So you still have to pay the debt because you can't pay it off. You just have those dollars. Instead of paying off the debt, you can now use it for capital projects and other items.
Okay, so I just don't know if this is a little bit misleading because we aren't paying those 2021 bonds off. I mean, I guess,
I understand what you're getting at.
I'm not saying you have to
Yeah.
change it, but it's misleading because we'll still have those going forward. Okay.
I have a bit more information on the authority if you want to hear it.
Oh, sure. Why
I'd be
not?
interested.
Yeah.
How it abruptly closed.
Well, so I don't know
The
what
bodies
it's
are
doing,
very-
but I do know that the
Still there.
authority is still being audited. Its statements were issued 3 weeks ago, for June 30, 2024. They had $1.1 million of revenue from whatever it is that they are doing, billings from constituent municipalities. So the authority still exists. It's doing something for some number of the original members. It also has $340,000 of cash and $100,000 of receivables. So perhaps it is worthwhile to make a phone call to
Absolutely.
see if there's anything we can do there.
At least find out what the
Yeah,
$30,000 is from. I mean, why
Well, yeah.
didn't we get it, you know?
It's going to be a percentage of the net assets,
So,
but those net assets do include liquid assets. So we should
yeah, I
theoretically
would.
be able to get something. However, the original articles of incorporation likely say, it's my opinion, educated guess, likely say that nobody gets anything unless the authority dissolves.
Oh, okay.
So definitely worth looking into, and I'll add that to my list.
Okay.
But it does still exist.
Okay, thank you.
Good to know.
Interesting to know.
I have a question. I would assume that payment in lieu of taxes for people who are doing that would go under property tax revenue, right? But do we know how much we're making off of that specifically?
I do not have that number at hand. I don't know if Brian has the payment in lieu, pilot, PILT, whatever you want to call it, payment in lieu of taxes. I do not have that number, but yes, it does go with property taxes in the financial statements. That's per the state's uniform chart of accounts.
I'd be curious to know how much. So it's
Yep, I can email Greg tonight or tomorrow with that answer at a very minimum, or I'm sure Brian and his team can get it for you.
Overall, it was a very good report. We should feel good. No management letter comment. My kind of audit.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments? All right. Call roll, please.
Congratulations to Plant Moran too. Thank you, Brian and
Yes.
Danielle.
All right.
Fournier, Crop,
Yes.
McGarity,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Yor, Calhoun,
yes.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
It's quite interesting.
All right, we'll move on to item B under general business, 2024 CDBG application, Carnes Community Center kitchen equipment. I'll
Move
entertain-
to approve the application for 2024 Community Development Block Grant Funds for the purchase and installation of kitchen equipment at Carnes Community Center.
Support.
Mr. Shipman.
The city proposes to apply for $31,574.59 in 2024 Community Development Block Grant funds for the purchase and installation of kitchen equipment at the Carnes Community Center. This opportunity was made available by the county due to leftover CDBG funds that were not utilized. Note that a public hearing was held on December 2nd, 2024 for this.
Okay, who has questions? I think this is exciting. We've had a kitchen area that has been kind of defunct and not really functional. So this is a great opportunity for Carnes to have a working kitchen. So thank you to the county at the CDBG office and to our staff who recognize this as a priority. Anybody else?
I think it's great. These funds for that, I know other funds are limited because of the way that's set up, and that the city owns a Carnes. So this seems like a win-win.
Call the roll, please.
Crop,
Yes.
McGarity, Rick,
Yes.
Yor, Calhoun,
Yes.
Dempsey,
Yes.
Fournier.
Excellent. Okay, 9C, purchases and payments.
Move to approve the purchases and payments. Am I doing that right?
Yep.
Yep. Purchases and payments of invoices as presented. Sorry.
Support.
Mr. Shipman, I know there's not a cover letter, but is there any questions for Mr. Shipman on this?
This was part of that centrifuge emergency.
Okay.
I don't believe we discussed it at the time. You approved that $400,000 to bring in that portable unit. So we took a chance at the same time, and we sent the centrifuge in on flatbed with the outside chance they could do a temporary fix, and it worked.
Beautiful.
And I'm glad it did
Beautiful
because we've already burned through the $400,000, and this will probably save us anywhere from $400,000 to possibly $1 million, depending on when the screw press project comes online. So
I don't know who said the prayers for that one, but but keep that handy. But thank you. Gosh, wow. I'm really glad you guys took that chance. It's amazing.
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Anybody else have any questions or comments on that one? Call the roll, please.
McGarity,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Yor,
Yes.
Calhoun,
Yes.
Dempsey,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Crop.
Yes. Okay, consent agenda.
Agenda as presented.
Support.
Anyone? Call the roll, please.
Rick,
Yes.
Yor,
Yes.
Calhoun,
Yes.
Dempsey,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
McGarity.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to the city manager's report. Mr. Shipman.
The Downtown Development Authority recently supported building improvement projects with facade grants of $3,200 at 79 North Main, the new location of New Age Noodles, and $9,450 at 86 Macomb Place, home to Little Lorraine's Bar. Curbside compost pickup has ended for the season. It will resume the week of March 23rd, 2025. City offices will be closed on Tuesday, December 24th and Wednesday, December 25th, 2024 for the Christmas holiday, and Tuesday, December 31st, 2024, as well as Wednesday, January 1st, 2025 for the New Year's holiday. Refuse pickup will run on schedule December 23rd and 24th and December 30th and 31st, but it will run one day behind beginning December 25th for the remainder of the week, and again will run one day behind January 1st for the remainder of the week. Christmas trees will be collected by the city's refuse contractor on your regularly scheduled refuse pickup day beginning December 26th, 2024 through January 31st. Please make sure the tree is bare and not in a plastic bag when placed at the curb for pickup. Dog licenses will be available for renewal in the treasurer's office Tuesday, January 2nd through the end of February. You must provide proof of a current rabies vaccination to renew. After February, there will be a $10 late fee assessed. Mount Clemens Parks and Recreation Department Winter 2025 Recreation Program is currently open for registration. We are offering a variety of youth, adult, and senior programming, which includes adult fitness classes, pickleball, CPR class, sewing and crochet clubs, sports camps, and bingo night. For more information, please contact Mount Clemens Parks and Recreation. 'Tis the season to shop local. Holiday parking is free after 3 p.m. through January 1st, 2025. Remember that downtown Mount Clemens is the place to find that last-minute, unique gift item. And our upcoming events, we have the kids' New Year's Eve, Tuesday, December 31st from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Discovery Center of Macomb, located at 54 Cherry Street, which includes activities and crafts, movie and popcorn, balloon artists, and more. The kids' fireworks show at 9 p.m. on Main Street. For more information, call 586-615-7928. And the New Year's Eve Gala, downtown on Main Street, Tuesday, December 31st at 9:30 p.m. There'll be live entertainment on the main stage and a fireworks show at midnight. For more information, call 586-431-6788.
All right, who has questions for Mr. Shipman? Okay, we'll move on to the second opportunity for public participation. All that we ask again is that you come to the microphone, give us your full name and residential address, and that you abide by our 2-minute rule. We'll open the microphone up.
Back again, 158 South Main Street, Fred Huber. So, didn't finish what we were talking about earlier, so I can't even get on to my second issue, so I'm going to stick to the first one. The experience in the court. I think oftentimes you don't get feedback on government services because people, businesses, individuals are afraid to speak up and let you know if they've had an experience that hasn't been great for fear of retaliation, or the next interaction that they have with that agency is not going to be great, a permit's not going to be granted, a decision by a judge is not going to be in their favor. So unfortunately, I don't think you always get feedback. I'm not afraid to give that feedback. I've been perfectly fine with anything that comes our way. So it is what it is. The court was horrible to deal with. I've never dealt with a worse district court. Literally paranoid that times change. I checked their online system. They changed the date on me, even though I have a screenshot of the time listed that matched what was said on the phone call, the video call that was from their website. They changed it. I missed it, the reconciliation hearing, because they changed it. They didn't notify me. They don't have any Wi-Fi usable inside. Their notices to you don't necessarily automatically say whether it's a Zoom call or whether it's in person. So much of it's Zoom nowadays. So then you show up in person, you've wasted a drive over. They go, oh, it's in Zoom, but you can't even log on in Zoom in the building because you can't get any Wi-Fi. You have to go sit in your car. We can go right down the list. They don't have any. I mean, it just the folks have been pleasant to deal with every time we had a problem, but it's just like little things like notifications, things change. They're not getting notified, not having Wi-Fi, things not being in person. Everything keeps saying COVID protocol. Are we not past this? Why are we not back in person? I mean, this is ridiculous. And then the reconciliation hearing, where I said earlier that there was a limit on what the decision could be on the $500 fine. There was no limit to the reconciliation. There's no legal limitation that had to be $300 instead of our full cost. That was a decision of the judge. So the judge made a choice to allow the person who dumped property and had children in foster care, teenagers, break it all apart and then just go through the whole costs and everything else. He made a choice to make it so low instead of the full cost. And these are things that you should be aware of. Your district court is not necessarily meeting the standards that probably the residents think they're paying for. That was my experience. Thank you.
Ruthie Stevenson, 69 Bain Street. I'd like to wish each and every person sitting here and in the city of Mount Clemens a blessed Christmas holiday, or whichever one you serve, whether it's Kwanzaa, the Jewish holiday, or just Christmas. Be safe out there, and we'll take up the business of the city after the beginning of the year, Lord's will.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to commissioner comments, and we will go to Commissioner Your, please.
The weather was perfect for it. It did not disappoint. So again, if you don't get out some of this stuff, you're missing out. Give it a chance. I'm sure you will really enjoy yourself. Other than that, just hoping everyone a peaceful and joyful holiday season. And we will see you back after the first of the year. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner McGarity.
The water bill assistance is still available. We've met. There is still tons of money through Macomb County Community Action Center. You can dial 586-469-6999 and let them know you need water bill assistance. The maximum we can assist with is $3,000 because Mount Clemens has not yet completed to sign up with Great Lakes Water Authority. You get that special money, and as well as New Baltimore. We're the only two cities in Macomb County. So please take advantage of that. If you have family members or neighbors that live in the city of Mount Clemens, let's get that water bill paid. The other thing is I need to open invitation for the Macomb County Ministerial Alliance Martin Luther King Day, the annual breakfast, which hosts 600, and we always sell out. I do have tickets available if anyone is interested. There's a table of 10, and if you're interested, just let me know. The last thing I want to share is something positive because this was a Mount Clemens resident. The Mount Clemens resident became homeless, not of his own, but he became homeless. However, Macomb Community Action Center, HARA, there's a homeless department. If you are a veteran, that's priority. We have to take care of our veterans. And so this gentleman was homeless with his family. And if you watch the Kelly Clarkson show, you can watch the YouTube part 1 about the family and then the revealing of when they saw the house. And they furnished the house, lamps, dishes, everything was taken care of. So this person was no longer homeless from the city of Mount Clemens. So he went from homeless to a house with his family, and he is so very grateful. So he mentioned some positive things about Mount Clemens, and so if you want to watch that again, just go to YouTube and look at Kelly Clarkson, homeless man. His children are beautiful, and his wife, and they're forever grateful. With that said, I was going to sing Have Yourself a Merry Christmas, but I hold it because I want my friends to talk. But everyone have a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Commissioner Fournier.
I just want to wish everyone a beautiful holiday, peaceful holiday. Be safe, as Miss Ruthie said. But we've had a lot of great events so far in the city, and we can still enjoy the New Year's ones coming up. And just wish everyone a very blessed Christmas. Kwanzaa. Or the Jewish holiday, yes. I think there's a couple more that I'm probably missing. But
Thank you. Commissioner Rick.
Thank you. First, I'd like to say to any of the residents who are getting unexpectedly high water bills, if you are concerned about it, contact the water department. For anybody that switched over to the new meters, I'd just like to reemphasize, normally with the old meters, you're getting billed for what had happened a few weeks ago. These new meters are what's happening today. So that gap gets filled, plus your regular bill, so that first bill is going to be more than you normally see. Contact the city if you need help. Contact Macomb Community Action if you need help. There are programs and help out there, but you got to ask for it. I would like to thank Thomas for continuing to serve on the Construction Board of Appeals and stepping up to also serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals. If you're interested in opportunities like this or other exciting opportunities on our various boards and committees, contact the city or check our website. Also, if anybody has friends or family that's interested in serving the county in the Northern District 1 area, they're looking for a new county commissioner. With that being said, I'd like to wish everyone Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Go out there and see the Christmas lights. They look amazing. It is. Mount Clemens always looks beautiful during the holidays, and I love it.
Thank you. Commissioner Calhoun?
Just like everyone else, I want to wish everyone a happy holiday season, Merry Christmas, other holidays if you celebrate them. I'm very thankful to live in this community because I'm not a big Christmas guy. But every year, when I was, just a few years ago, people made sure that, that I had a chance to celebrate Christmas. And I always appreciated that. So, please, reach out to folks, and invite them to enjoy a Christmas meal with you, or if you see someone, who's unhoused, if there's anything that you are able to do for them, please support them. But I am very thankful for this community and this season every year. Beyond that, Mr. Hubner, thank you for bringing the dumping issue up. We've talked about it several times, and hopefully at some point the legislature will take some action to fix that. Although probably not during lame duck. I don't think they'll do anything. But fingers crossed. Outside of that, thank you to the staff here at City Hall, you, Mr. Shipman, the department heads who really are, you really saved us big time with this centrifuge. It matters who's in leadership, and I'm very thankful that we have people who are very capable, who think about the things that some of us aren't, have in the back of our mind. So thank you to you and the staff for taking care of that. And to all the sheriff's deputies, fire department that serve our city, who might not have days off this holiday. I want to thank them for their service to the city and wish them a Merry holiday season as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dempsey?
Just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, be safe on New Year's, and let's hope for a new, prosperous 2025. So thank you.
I will be having a coffee talk in the new year, January 9th, which is a Thursday. So that one will be 6:30 p.m. at Black Cat Coffee. And then January 14th, which is a Tuesday, at 9:30 a.m. At John's Family Grill. So join me to talk about, if you have questions or if you want to talk about what's happening in the city. We'll probably have some construction updates and some fun things to report. So I want to thank Plant Moran and Maynard Casterian for the audit, but especially Plant Moran and their staff. They've done a great job since coming on board a couple years back, and it's just seems to be getting better and better, and we really appreciate that, Brian and Danielle, and who am I forgetting? Amanda. Don't tell Amanda. I want to thank the DDA and the city staff for the light parade. The streets department, I don't know if everybody was able to attend the light parade, but the streets department did a fantastic job decorating the trucks. They were so cool. And I mean, they even went as far as they had so many little details on the truck that should have went by us 3 times because you missed things. It was so cool, and their families got to ride with them and see that, and really get to enjoy the city. I think that, and I was so proud of it. It was just such a cool experience. So thank you to them. They made the night extra special. So, and then also Landscape Services, who does our maintenance, our downtown maintenance. They were a special character, we'll say, that evening, and they also brought several vehicles, including a very large bus that was completely decorated too. So they went above and beyond, but we had residents who brought their antique campers. I mean, it was fantastic. So if you missed the light parade, I highly, it's a very short parade because it is cold, but it's exciting and it's fun, and I think everyone enjoyed it. I also want to thank the staff here at City Hall and in our other buildings, they went above and beyond at this year's door decorating contest. So if you walk into City Hall, it's very festive and it's very fun. And it just, I think, when you're paying your taxes or your water bill or coming in for a permit, it's a nice environment to be in. So they did that on their own dime, and I appreciate their efforts in making this a nice place to work and a nice place to have to visit to do not great things necessarily, but and I appreciate their creativity. I also want to say happy birthday to City Manager Greg Shipman here. We won't say how old he is, but happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Anybody have any questions or comments about the adjournment? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Happy holidays, everyone. Good night. We'll see you next year.